Welcome, everybody. My name is Jeanette Woo Chitjian, and it's exciting to have you here join us today. I have the great honor of leading Marlborough's admissions events, and I should say Marlborough's admissions program. Tonight, we have a great adventure ahead of us. There are 7 Marlborough seniors on your screen, students who are ready to launch off to college, right? And I've asked them to channel their 11, 12, 13, and 14-year-old selves from back when they first started at our school. We're going to answer the questions, many of the questions that you so generously sent to us. So generously that I'm afraid we're going to have to disable the chat as well as the Q&A and not take live questions tonight. I want to encourage you, however, to feel welcome to reach out to us at admissions@marlborough.org if there is something left on your mind after tonight's program. So without further ado, I'm going to let our panelists start with introductions, and we're going to begin with Ellie.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ellie. I am senior class president, and I'm also editor of our literary magazine, The Edge. And I also involve myself in theater after school at Marlborough, and I'm excited to be here tonight.
Kat?
Hi, I'm Catherine. Some things about me are that I'm co-captain of the varsity basketball team, software lead on the robotics team called the Marlbots, and a fun fact about me is that I enjoy solving Rubik's Cubes.
Lauren?
Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren. I'm the all-school communications representative. I'm a co-captain of our varsity lacrosse team, and I am on our Red Cross team. And before Marlborough, I attended St. Margaret's Episcopal School.
Lucy?
Hi, I'm Lucy. Before Marlborough, I went to the Center for Early Education, and 3 things you should know about me is that I am the editor-in-chief of Yearbook. I am one of the co-chairs for Violet's Giving Circle, and I'm the co-founder and co-president of Mix, which is our multiracial affinity group on campus.
Thanks, Lucy. Michaela?
Hi, I'm Michaela. Before Marlborough, I attended Palmcrest Elementary School in La Cañada. And 3 things about me are I am the all-school athletics representative. I am also the varsity captain for our soccer team, and I co-lead the club, The Good Place, which is a moral philosophy group with Lauren.
Quincy?
Hi, everyone. I'm Quincy. I was new to Marlborough in 9th grade and went from kindergarten to 8th grade to Wildwood School. 3 things about me. I have to follow all of those things. I participate in instrumental ensemble at school. I am the co-leader of our peer support group called PALS with Ellie. And my favorite class is Spanish by far. Yes.
Nice. And Sydney?
Hi, I'm Sydney. Before I went to Marlborough, I went to Carlthorpe School in Santa Monica. And 3 things about me are I am the captain of the varsity golf team, and I actually play both varsity golf and varsity tennis in the same season. I am also a peer tutor at Marlborough, and I lead the club Cicadas, which is our computer-aided design and 3D printing club.
Wow, I've already learned something about each of you. Okay, here we go. Beyond describing the Marlborough community, what makes Marlborough Marlborough? Go for it.
For me, I think the best part about Marlborough and really like the defining quality that Marlborough has is the relationships between like students and teachers and like how we all feel comfortable to like send a funny email or like go in and meet with our teachers like for lunch. I remember last year that was like in our AP Lit class, we would just have so much fun. It got to a point where our teacher had to tell us to stop talking because we weren't going to be able to like learn any of this stuff, but like in a lighthearted manner. And I just think the environment between teachers and students, at least for me, has been really good and supportive. And I feel like I got that because of Marlborough.
I also think Marlborough has a really unique type of students. Like everyone cares a lot about how they do in classes, and they try really hard. and they want to do well, and they're extremely motivated. And I think that's something that I noticed coming from a public school. The difference in the type of students, I think, makes a huge difference in how you learn in the classroom.
I could not agree with Catherine and Quincy more, but just to add on to what Catherine was saying, like even though Marlborough students they're always really passionate, really motivated in the classroom, but they're also very passionate outside of the classroom. They're very involved in the community, and we really support each other. Like there is a very encouraging like feel at Marlborough. Like everyone is there to support you, everyone there is to cheer you on. Like people want to see you do well, and they really like make sure you know that.
I think that you can do so many different things in your 6 or however many years at Marlborough. I know there's like 100 different clubs and groups that I wish I had the time to join, but we have an honors research program, which is amazing, different social justice and entrepreneurship capstones, and a lot of really good student-led clubs. Unfortunately, there's just not enough time to do all of it, but you can really try anything. I know I was in dance dimensions. I'm not a dancer at all, but in 8th grade, it was a really fun thing to explore with some of my friends.
Nice. Well, kind of along those lines, what sort of opportunities has Marlborough provided for you that you don't think you would have found or pursued elsewhere?
Well, I think a pretty good example is this past summer, Cindy and I were actually working on a device. It was a hands-free door opener that we wanted to install on campus. So after COVID-19 restrictions became more lenient and we could return to school, the device basically allows you to open the door with your forearm rather than your hand. And it was really amazing working with administration and getting that permission, and knowing that the school was supporting us in what we wanted to create using computer-aided design. Recently, we actually implemented a couple on about 10 school doors on campus. And I think it's very unique that the school allowed us to do that and supported us throughout the process.
Also, it was like quickly mentioned by Michaela, I think in the previous question, but Marlborough offers this course called Honors Research. And oh wait, did you already say this? But it is incredible. Like I don't know if any other school really has something similar, but you're doing like real life research. You're creating a real impact. And I don't think originally I was kind of like scared of doing that, but through this process, like through Marlborough support, I'm like, wow, I actually really enjoy doing research. This is really cool to learn outside the classroom like this in like a field where I wouldn't be able to learn at maybe inside the classroom.
Sydney, can you share, sorry, can you share what your honors research is and where you're working?
Yes. Okay. So there are 4 main honors research groups, I think. So there's honors research in science, honors research in humanities. There's a capstone in entrepreneurship and a capstone in social justice. So I'm in honors research for science, and right now I'm working with the lab at UCLA, and we are working on developing a new filtering algorithm. This is going to sound really confusing, but we are developing a new filtering algorithm that is basically more accurate and more robust in filtering out like noise from measurements when you're trying to estimate different states of objects.
We're all nodding our head like we followed that, right?
100%.
I can say I did the humanities, which is a little bit more accessible when it comes to explaining my project. And I basically just watched a bunch of 80s rom-coms and tried to notice the relationships between female teen characters and their male romantic counterparts, and whether or not the female characters were empowered or not within their relationship, which was really interesting because in this program you get to work with a mentor at a university and really get held to that standard of writing and applying yourself. And I think that just was really such an opportunity. But then this year I get to transition into an arts capstone and actually write a screenplay with all that I've learned from watching the movies from last year. And so I've already written a couple and writing another one. And that's just like Marlborough is providing me with those resources and opportunities to really just direct what I've learned into a creative outlet.
Well, I'm also in the honors research group, I guess, except I'm doing the entrepreneurship capstone. So I have an internship with Sahuri Beauty, which is a Black-owned organic business in Bakersfield. And I pretty much help her with her sales while simultaneously creating my own business for women's female hygiene.
I got us off the topic, didn't I? Or does anybody else want to answer this question? What sort of opportunities has Marlborough provided for you that you don't think you would have found or pursued elsewhere?
I don't do any of the honors research programs, feeling like an underachiever right now, but I think one of the biggest things for me transferring in ninth grade when everyone already knew each other, I was really scared. I even wrote part of my college essay about this, how I felt like I was super insecure, like a lot of middle schoolers are, and I learned to like use my own voice in class, and I learned to be comfortable because everyone is taking risks, and everyone, like, I don't remember who said, someone said, everyone is here for like support. And so I was able to turn to a lot of like my teachers or administration if I like had any problems that I was dealing with. But Marlborough has really like given me the opportunity to like explore who I am and like be able to create coherent sentences that explain who I am. And so I'm grateful for that.
Nice. That sort of segues into, Kat, I know that you also started later in life, right? Beyond the seventh grade. Is there any other advice that you would give to someone joining a grade not in seventh, or those of you who started in seventh, thoughts based on your friends who joined your classes in eighth grade, ninth grade, and so on?
So I came in eighth grade, and personally, I thought the transition went pretty smoothly. I would say that the Marlborough community was very supportive. Even walking down the hallways in my first week of school, people I'd never seen before would say hi to me and just help me feel more welcomed coming into such a new environment. I would say the biggest the biggest jump for me was just Marlborough's English curriculum. I would say that Marlborough has a very strong English program, and at my previous school, which is LACIS, Los Angeles Center for Image Studies, we didn't do much like reading books and analyzing them and close reading them like we do at Marlborough, and I think that was probably the biggest part of my transition. It was very smooth overall.
What about seventh graders, especially kind of given this year's situation? Do any of you have seventh grade friends and can talk about how they were transitioned into our community this year?
I actually have a seventh grade sister. She came to Marlborough for the first time. I have two sisters, and we're all at Marlborough this year. So I think as a seventh grader, an incoming seventh grader, it's important to remember, like, no matter if it's online or
I'm not sure I understand.
Sorry, if it's online or if it's in person, like everyone is in the same boat as you. You're all new. You're all coming together. You're all scared, but it's gonna be super fun. And I think I'm actually really proud of my youngest sister who's in seventh grade right now. She's been doing an amazing job for coming in seventh grade online, because I think one of the hardest parts about doing that is making friends and meeting new people, because you don't get that as much interaction like between class in the hallways at lunch and everything. So she just like threw herself out there and was like FaceTiming people, calling people up, saying, hey, I don't know you, but let's hang out. And yeah, so she's actually made a lot of friends through that way. So I think just like not being afraid to put yourself out there is what will help you the most.
Quincy.
Really quickly, because I feel like this question, like you handed it to Ellie and I in a way. So with PALs, and Lauren is also a PAL, our peer support group for middle schoolers, mostly seventh and eighth graders, because ninth grade counts as middle school at Marlborough. We did these virtual PALs parties over the summer for the new seventh graders. And that Ellie and I are both really, really proud of that, because it felt like our goal was to get seventh graders to feel more comfortable at Marlborough, because they're new and they're also virtual, and that is definitely something difficult. Just being new, I know how hard it was, but being new online, we did over the summer, we did 5 different virtual pals parties. We started off with chocolate chip pancake making and ended with tie-dye. And we got a lot of feedback that everyone loved it. And I think, and it drove more people to come to pals, which is what we want. We want Sevies to come talk to us because we love making connections. So yes, I'm proud of that.
And what was amazing about those events is that the 7th graders showed up and they made the pancakes and they made the shirts and they were excited about them. And I think that's just the advice I would give, is like, it's kind of along the lines of what Sydney was saying, just invest your time, your energy, and be open to meeting new people and learning new things. And I know it also can be really stressful entering during the virtual age, but to be fair, like the friends I made in my first week of 7th grade, because we were the people that met in the hallway, shuffled around, and I've made new friends since. And my friendships have completely changed and grown and matured. And so I think there's still, like, it may be stressful entering this new social reality, but I think Marlborough students, as long as they stay open, they will find the people that they can rely on and who are their friends. And yeah, I think it's stressful, but stick with it, and I think it'll work out.
I have a quick question, just show of hands. How many of you were the only student from your school that came to Marlborough that year? Hands up. So about not quite half of you. Yeah, okay. All right, here's the question that everyone always asks. The transition from co-ed to all girls, to girls, right? To a girls' school, girls-centered spaces. Who wants to talk about that?
I can start, if that's okay.
Perfect.
I actually was asked this question recently in a college interview, and I honestly didn't think it would come up, but the interviewer had a lot of questions about what it was like to go to an all-girls school, and how I explained it was, when I look around at everybody on campus, everyone who holds leadership roles and everyone who is a leader of a club, all school council, everyone around me looks like me, is a girl, represents what I hold that's important to me. And that, I think, is what made the biggest difference going from a co-ed school to an all-girls school. It really empowered me to pursue leadership roles.
I think that's a really important note too. I'll just add on really quickly, because I feel like for me, I really didn't even notice the transition. Everyone was like, there's so much drama if it's all girls, like you guys are gonna get sick of each other. What about the boys? And honestly, over time, I've kind of realized how that has become like the societal norm, that like girls are going to be catty if they aren't around boys. And which is like completely the opposite. And I don't want anyone to feel like that. And I feel like what Lucy said, seeing like representation of women in incredible positions is something that inspires, I think, all of us. Even if someone is non-binary, it's still something that shows like perseverance and dedication. Yeah.
Also, I think it's really nice to have all girls in like a school like environment. I feel like sometimes people think like having boys there is distracting, or like people say, oh, you don't, well, at Marlborough, a lot of people say like, oh, I don't have to like do my makeup or look beautiful or anything like this. Like definitely people care about their appearance, but like sometimes I'll just roll out of bed, throw my uniform on. Oh, that's another great thing, is the uniform. Don't have to worry about what you're gonna wear, and just go to school, and I'm just there, and yeah, it's great.
So go ahead, Ellie. Sorry.
Just really quickly, I've like read some studies just that teachers are more likely to call on boys, and a lot of leadership positions often will go to boys just because of the way we're hardwired. And so it's just like at Marlborough, every opportunity is open to everyone, and that's just really cool, and it just feels really safe. I know that sounds like a overstatement, but it's just like I show up to school and I'm there to learn, and that's what I'm there to do. and just having that drive and that focus. I think you can see that in every student.
And yet, there's a big world out there, right? So how or have you connected with students from other schools?
I think people have like friends from elementary school that they like stay in touch with throughout high school and middle school, and then they'll branch out and meet new people and everything. And there's also a lot of events at other schools that you can go to, so that's how you can meet people. And this may frighten parents, but there are such things as parties, and that is also a place, I guess. But yeah, I think it's I don't know. I feel like I like my Marlborough community as it is, so I feel like it's fine.
Are there extracurricular activities you're involved in that includes boys and girls, students from other schools?
Yeah, definitely. So, well, first example, I'll get me I'm on the basketball team, and obviously we play against different schools. You get to see other people and interact with them, but obviously they're mostly girls. But for robotics, most of the other teams are mostly boys or co-ed, and you do have to obviously talk to them. Um, you have to work with them, and because sometimes you do have to form alliances and team up together. So through that, you're able to communicate and learn how to work with boys as well as other girls.
Michaela, I see you nodding your head.
Every Monday, I volunteer at the Huntington Hospital, which is kind of a hub for a lot of Pasadena and La Cañada kids if you live on that side of Los Angeles. Whether or not we're from public schools or private schools, we kind of all volunteer together and spend some time talking to each other about our different experiences at our different schools. So I've made some friends through there. And I also have a job during the summer at the Rose Bowl for a summer camp. And there's kids from college, there's kids from middle school. So I kind of get to interact with everyone, which is really nice. But I also, I forgot who said this, but having a community at Marlborough that's might not necessarily be fully separate, but having a strong sense of trust within that separate community has been really nice to like go back to and take in.
I also volunteer at Cedar Sinai Medical Center outside of school. And there's definitely also a lot of high school students. It's a teen volunteer program. So there's such a diverse group of people from the area from so many different schools. So outside of school extracurriculars are definitely a good way to meet other people.
What's the best part of your week?
School-wise, this is so nerdy, but we have advisories that are just a teacher and like about 10 other classmates in our grade. And Quincy and I are in the same advisory, and Lucy. And no, I got. And honestly, I love our advisory. It's just so fun. And the teacher that leads it, Ms. Nicole Beck, is just one of my favorite people. And so, yeah, a lot of people don't, for most people, advisory is just kind of nothing. It doesn't really matter to them. But yeah, advisory to me, I just look forward to it each week. And it's just a really great group of people that I probably wouldn't have talked to, especially in this virtual age otherwise, just because we're in separate parts of the city, separate friend groups. So it's really quite lovely.
This doesn't really apply to online school, but when I was at Marlborough, like the highlight of my week was always on Wednesdays, lunch in the caf. It's like Mexican food day, and it's so good. The line is always crazy long, and it took me forever to get through the line, but it was definitely worth it. They have like Cafe M has great food. Like that is definitely something to look forward to at Marlborough.
Yes, I agree, Sydney. The Tostadables are the best part of the week in person. I think for me, the best part of my week was we got to watch this movie that Ellie and I are in the same class yet again for Honors Hispanic Literature and Film. We got to watch this comedy movie, and I thought it was the funniest thing ever. And I'm just bringing that up because I feel like the reputation of Marlborough can be super serious and like everyone is like in a uniform doing the same thing, when in reality we watched a comedy that was definitely very interesting and funny and a tad inappropriate, but that was my favorite part of the week because it just like reinforced the fact that like we're here to learn and we don't really care if it's something like that is taboo, but we'll learn about it. So yeah.
The ceramics room is definitely my second home on campus, and maybe just overall, Mr. Hong, who is also my advisor, so he's my go-to person for all questions regarding academics or just any other ones I have in general. He is probably the most interesting person I have ever met in my entire life, and may very well be the most interesting person I will ever meet. But it's a really safe space for me to create. I'm not the best at ceramics, but we have 12 different throwing wheels that you can use at any point in your time at Marlborough, even if you're not in the ceramics class or taking any ceramics courses. And there's always really, really loud heavy metal rock music blasting in that room, which I didn't think I would like that much. But it's really a safe space and a really fun environment to work in.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the best part of my week, but instead my day. So the way the stairs are at Marlborough, they're like zigzag. So I would love like waking up early and coming to Marlborough's campus and then walking up those zigzag stairs, like tired. It's usually cold. I don't want to be up, going to school. But then like you can't really see anyone going up, but this way I can always see like the tip of my friends' heads, and then I like walk up the stairs faster, and then we're all like, cold and tired together. But at least like, I always saw one friend group there, or someone, I don't know. My friends always sat there. So always walking past that spot was fun because it's like, who's going to be sitting there today? So
I completely agree with Lauren. Getting up those last few steps, that motivation is very helpful. But so I guess my favorite place on campus is the Marlborough gym. I do spend a lot of time there, getting shots up, and it's just very peaceful. It's usually pretty quiet, and there's a shooting machine, and you can pull that out and just shoot, and it's just very nice and stress relieving.
Okay, so speaking of wellness, how does the school encourage self-care? Go, Lauren.
Well, more recently, with like COVID and everything and virtual learning, my art history teacher has been super sweet to us and like conscientious of everything us seniors have going on. So like we don't really have any big assessments this week because she knows, November 1st, the deadlines for colleges and everything. It's a big day. Sorry, should have warned you. But yeah, she's not assigning us any like big quizzes or something like that. And she always reminds us like, get some rest, go on a walk, take care of yourself. And it's nice just to have that teacher be there for me and like remind me, live. It's not all about, schoolwork. So it's nice to have her around.
Yeah, I think Marlborough has this reputation of incredible rigor and just intense schoolwork, but we made a change in our schedule about 3 years ago, I think now, to a block schedule. So you're only doing half of the homework. No, you're doing the homework for half of your classes each night. And that has just completely changed the experience because it's no longer trying to do all the homework for all of your classes or for more classes than you want to be doing each night. It really has evened out the workload. And so that has really just made it possible to involve yourself in more extracurriculars, which, lead to wellness. And then on top of that, teachers are just so accommodating and so understanding. And I don't even know if I'm allowed to bring this up, but my Spanish teacher, I got a bad grade on an essay, and in the world languages program, we're now allowed to rewrite essays if you do badly on them, because it's all about just learning the language and not penalizing students for making mistakes. And so he's supposed to have me rewrite this essay before November 1st, and he just changed my grade to not turning it in like incomplete so that it's not like affecting my grade so that I can just send it off to colleges. And he's like, just get it to me at some point. And I think that's just exactly how it's going, where I'm going to write that essay and I'm going to learn from my mistakes, but there's just no need to have this like time crunch or all this pressure added by adding a deadline that is during college early apps week. And I think that like Marlborough is really changing culturally and recognizing that that pressure is just so unnecessary.
I'm trying to read your faces. Okay. Speaking of virtual, how are you connecting with your classmates in this virtual environment?
So we have a meme page for the school, and I happen to co-run it. And one of the best things about this meme page is that we have so many people swiping up all the time on our like posts or on our Instagram stories, like being like, this is the best part of my day. Like you guys really like pull us through. And it's like people we've never spoken to before. This is the second annual year of Mustang memes. And I don't know if Miss Woo Chitjian knows about it, but now you do. And that's been like the best way to connect while also having the Marlborough environment in mind, because we're like we all just want to laugh. Like right now is not the best time, 2020. I'm ready for this season to end. And I think having laughter is something that's really important. And so Mustang memes for me has been that laughter place. Yeah.
I'm gonna write that down, Quincy, at Mustang Memes.
Yeah.
I think that club meetings have been really important during this time. We haven't really started them yet because club fair was just a few weeks ago. But I think last semester it's just a great way to talk to people you wouldn't see. Like, of course, if you want to talk to your friends, you can call them on the phone, but like the people in the grades below you, you don't really get to chat with them or see them around campus. And being in those club meetings all together is a great way to just like update each other on your lives and like find out what's happening with the juniors right now and things like that.
Even like,
Go ahead, Kat.
oh, sorry. Okay. Even like day to day, I know that I FaceTime my friends or Zoom them, and I would say that Marlborough is a very collaborative environment. So, like, you might just FaceTime your friend. Oh, let's work on the physics homework, and we do homework, and we also chat. And something else during COVID that we can that I've done with my friends is going over to people's backyards, of course, with masks and distanced. But at least we get to see each other face to face and sort of have some interaction. It's been really nice.
We usually have class-wide meetings once a week. It's been a little different since we're seniors right now, so our schedules are a bit busy. And Ellie is a part of council, so maybe she can speak more to it, but she kind of has helped run these class meetings where we can see everyone in our grade and talk to each other in the chat. And in this way, we've been able to continue a lot of the traditions that we have on campus at Marlborough. And for us, that has been our mascot. So we've been able to vote and discuss about what mascot our grade wants to have this year. So it's been something I always look forward to every week.
Are we allowed to tell them who our mascot is or no? Okay, never mind. Don't get to know yet.
You talked a little bit about the relationships you have with your incredible teachers. Does anybody have a particular story about a way that your teachers support you or have helped you in particular through this distance learning time or when we were back on campus? And you can think way back.
Well, I actually kind of wrote about this in my personal statement. I was not doing that well in pre-calc when I first started, and I had Miss Bannister as my teacher. I literally never heard of her. Like I just saw her in the hallways. But she is the sweetest person. And as I mentioned earlier, I always came to school really early and she would be there early as well. So I would like go over to her room and we would work on problems and like study together pretty much until I got the grades that I wanted. And she really helped and like was a big factor in me completing the course successfully.
AP Lit. I know Ellie and Quincy were in the class. Dr. Banner she's truly amazing teacher. I remember one of my very first papers from her. She was so sweet. I'd gotten almost all of my analysis for like Hamlet or Macbeth, whichever one we read last year, wrong. And my very first line was like, "I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but your analysis for this was a little off, but I am free to meet with you whenever possible." And she just kept an extremely open schedule that all of our classmates and myself could visit her and just go over our papers for however long we wanted. And a particular story towards the end of the year was the AP test, which obviously had to be modified due to social distancing. But due to Wi-Fi difficulties and computer problems, I'm like 70% sure I had uploaded a blank copy of my test to the College Board. And after just months of working super, super hard on AP Lit, I felt so devastated. And I'd quickly written this really long email to Dr. Banner, and she responded with the kindest words possible. Literally nothing except for that single email would have made me feel better. And I think that goes to show that the Marlborough teachers really, really do care about their students, past their grade and past what they say past what we say in class, and they just really want us to succeed and make sure we feel confident in our own abilities, which I'm really grateful for.
Yeah, I think even in this virtual environment, teachers have done a lot of things to sort of give us that feedback and like attention we need. Like for example, last year in the towards the end of the year math, we took a practice AP test, and our teacher, Miss Moser, she actually recorded videos giving us feedback on what we had done well and what we had done wrong on each part of our AP exam, which was definitely a lot of work, but it was very helpful. And in addition, this year, what our physics teacher, because normally we would, if we have a question, we just go by the teacher's room, stop by and just ask them right away, and they can help us. So to simulate that, she used Zoom. So if it's like a green dot, it's like available, and or a video little symbol, which means she's in a meeting. So if she's available, we can just Zoom her and ask her a question.
I was actually going to mention Dr. Banner, Michaela, that funny enough, because I think she really encompasses the way in which like students can like take initiative and also like have fun talk with their teachers. I remember we had an extended essay last year where it was like a 10 to 15 page paper about a book of our choice. And I decided to choose a Virginia Woolf novel. And I will not make that mistake again. But I mean, it's a great piece of literature. But then we went on to read a completely, not like a whole other Virginia Woolf story. And we had this running joke that it was Virginia had 2 points and I had 0 points. But the title of my extended essay was called Respect the Drip, Karen, which is like a funny thing that people say. And Dr. Banner didn't know what it meant. And then I get an email about a month ago that says, here's a screenshot of an assignment that I'm sending out to my AP Lit kids. I will give you full credit for the third question. And it was about if Hamlet respected the drip of another character, and just like those kind of things just stick in our brains, I think. Those like little sentiments that just make you feel like you were heard. And yeah.
I have a story too, but I don't know if you want to move on to another question, Ms. Woo Chitjian.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that like I had an experience where like the teachers, they definitely want to support you in the classroom, but they also want to make sure you succeed outside of the classroom too. Like in 10th grade, I had this like individuals match for tennis, and like we had moved so far on that we were going to go to Santa Barbara, I think. And so I was basically going to miss the entire week. So I was going to miss all the classes that week. And we had a project due, like a big like essay or test due that week or something. And so I was like thinking, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to have to take this early or something. I don't know. And then without me even saying anything, like Dr. Lynch, he knew that I was going to go to this tennis match. He was like, yeah, Sydney. And he was like, I'm giving you an extension and you're going to take the extension. Here it is, without me having to ask for anything. Like, he just wanted to make sure I did well in the class and also on the courts.
Really quickly,
Yep.
I mean, Ms. Benson, Ms. Beck, Ms. Thornton, Mr. Thompson have never missed a single theater production. And like you can see them in the audience every single time and they always have something to say. And I think that's just like so lovely. And then just also a Dr. Banner plug, one of like just changed my life. And the first essay I ever wrote for her, a rough draft, she circled 4 words and said, these are the only 4 words I want to see in your final draft because it was so bad. And I have never been more grateful to receive a note from someone. Like it was brutal, but it was like absolutely iconic. And she's just one of those types of teachers where she holds you to such a high standard and yet you love her. And I think that's just exactly the type of atmosphere that the faculty provide at Marlborough. And so, yeah.
Nice. Okay. Here's our last question, so take a second. Why did you choose Marlborough? So you need to channel your 11, 12-year-old self. Why did you choose Marlborough, and why would you choose it now?
I mean, I can start, I guess.
Okay.
So I have to say, like, I live in Orange County, so I honestly didn't even know about Marlborough until my mom mentioned, because she used to go to Marlborough, like, hey, you should think about applying to Marlborough. So at first I was kind of a skeptic, I guess, of the whole all girls thing, because I was like, where's my competition? But then, I'm here and it's like competition everywhere. Like it's healthy competition. It's great. I love it. I realized like, although, you might miss out on like football games and things like that, there's, schools you can go to around who have football games, and like in the end, focusing on your education instead of like social relationships is more important for me at least. And I knew like, there'd be a time for boys and all those fun things, but like high school, I really need to focus and grind. So I chose Marlborough.
The main reason I chose Marlborough was the type of people at the school, the like sense of community, and shout out to Michaela for being an amazing shadow, because definitely being at school, just going to classes, being around people, you can sort of feel the sense of community, and I knew that I wanted to be in an environment similar to this, and also I knew that that I would be able to challenge myself academically, and that's something that was really important to me. And looking back now, I would probably say very similar things about why I would choose Marlborough now. Being on the robotics team and the basketball team, it's amazing how our robotics mentor I guess, allows me to do that and just put in all the time that I can so I can pursue everything that I want to.
I chose Marlborough because definitely the community, and I had a little bit of a different experience to most of the students. My mom works at Marlborough and she's worked there since I was in 3rd grade, and she used to have an advisory of upper school students. And when I would go to work with her, I would always get a chocolate chip pancake at the cafeteria, and then we would go to her advisory, and seeing those older girls, just they were so nice to each other and they were so nice to me. It made me feel really welcome, even though like I wasn't technically a part of the community yet. It made me feel like I could trust people there. And like Lauren was saying, there was like a healthy competition and they were all challenging themselves. And I could tell from the way they talked about school that they were just passionate.
Honestly, I chose Marlborough because we played tennis during PE on my shadow day. And there were Oreos and a calf and grilled cheese. And I just was like overwhelmed by all of it. I was like, this is insane. And there was like a girl on my shadow day who had written a book over the summer. And I was like, that's crazy. So yeah, that's why I chose Marlborough. It was a lot. It wasn't as like deep or reflective. But I think why I would choose Marlborough now is just the people I've met and the teachers I've, learned from. And I've really, truly gained lifelong friends. And I think we just have like an understanding. I have an understanding with each and every one of my classmates, just like we can see each other and we understand each other. And I think that's really unique. That's a high school experience that's really unique. A lot of people say high school sucks, and I would not say that, because I've just had a good experience, because I know and understand and admire and am met with admiration in return for my peers.
For me, this might come off as really cheesy, but this is truly like a very genuine answer. On my shadow day, and my sister also went to Marlborough and she graduated a couple years ago. But when you're on campus and when you're around Marlborough students, you can tell they really, really care about something. And it could be something that I have not given a second thought about, but there is something that like each student really deeply is passionate about and cares about, like politics, music, piano, acting, so many different things, and that just made me want to care about something as much as they did. And I think that really pushes me to kind of step out of my comfort zone a lot and pursue something that I maybe never envisioned myself pursuing.
I think one of the reasons why I came to Marlborough was because, kind of like what Catherine said, I just like didn't feel challenged at my middle school, and I wanted to like feel what it was like to like have really hard work and really challenge yourself. And Marlborough definitely followed through with that promise, but not at the expense of my personality and happiness and social lives, which I think is really important, because sometimes that balance can be off. And I think one of the best ways that that's shown and reflected in the Marlborough community is the like really healthy discourse that we can have. Two people can have a disagreement on opinion, and listen to each other and listen to the sides. And I think now more than ever, that is something extremely important. And I am really grateful for that, because I recognize like how privileged I am to like be in a community of girls and women who respect each other enough to listen to other people's perspectives. And that's why I'd go to Marlborough again in a heartbeat. Also, I got a fish tank in 11th grade with oceanography, and so I'd do it again for the fish tank. But yeah.
Or Lauren, do you want to go?
No, sorry. I just wanted to add on, but I can add on after you. So.
Oh, okay. Kind of like what everyone is saying, but I chose Marlborough because of the community. I was actually very like stuck between choosing between Marlborough and another school, and I was like, oh no, which one should I go to? Both sound amazing. But then I just thought about it, and I was like, which one do I just like feel like I would belong there? And for me, it was Marlborough, because like, yeah, on my shadow day, like everyone was so welcoming. Like no one knew who I was. I was like obviously not a student at Marlborough, and everyone was like, oh my God, what's your name? What do you like to do? And it was super nice and always welcoming. And the teachers were like amazing. Like I was just like, wow, this is incredible. And like, I think the reason why I would choose Marlborough again now is I'm just really proud of the person I've become through Marlborough. And I'm really proud of the people I've met through Marlborough. Like, I think Marlborough generates amazing people. Like we are strong, independent, intelligent, respectful. Like it's just really amazing.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on my shadow day, they were doing this chocolate chip cookie lab. I don't know if they still do that, but I was enticed by those cookies, and we got to eat them afterwards as well. And then as well, the calf, like I'm a big food person. And on my acceptance, like a picture, it was cookies on the locker. And that really sent me over, along with the purple glitter that went all over my office. It was very inviting. And I really hope you guys still do that, because it was one of my favorite things.
Yes, as you notice, to be a Marlborough student, you need to be obsessed with food. Like Marlborough students, I don't know why, like they could have eaten snacks the entire day, but when there's like a calling for like free donuts, it is like just a rampage. Like people just sprint to the donuts, but it's good. There's a lot of free food at Marlborough, and the food is really good.
So a love of food, a love of purple, right? Well, I am going to give you a round of applause on behalf of our audience. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight and for being such great Marlborough ambassadors. I want to encourage all of you in our audience to visit our website. I'm sure there are many, many answers on our website that you may be able to find answers to your questions. In particular, I'm going to encourage you to look at a page under academics that lists the course of study and all the classes that are available. I know some questions were in our chat about our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we have a whole page about that. And then the performing arts page has a now showing that will show you how we did performances last spring during distance learning and how we will be doing Macbeth this fall in a couple of weeks. Quincy mentioned at Marlborough memes. No, Mustang memes.
Yes, we're a private account though, and if you don't go to Marlborough, then we can't accept you because
that's okay. I'm going to encourage you to go to at Marlborough admissions because we are taking peeks into a week in the life of students this week featuring Lauren Cameron, and also at Marlborough Life, which will give you a sense of what we're doing now during this wild fall that we're having. I want to remind you that the application deadline is January 6th. However, we are currently interviewing students and meeting with students online. So as soon as you know that Marlborough's on your radar, please go ahead and submit your application. And finally, I want to thank you for joining us, and especially for your interest in Marlborough. Should you have any questions, we hope that you will reach out. Thank you again for being with us tonight.